Welcome to the Kung Fu Physicist podcast. My name is Eric Alicia, and joining me here today is Sifu Will Parker. Very happy to have him here. He is one of two master levels in the United States and the highest level practitioner that we have here in the States in the IWTA. And it's a big honor to have him here. Thank you for joining us, Sifu.
Thank you.
First of all, when did you start?
I started Wing Tsun out of undergraduate school. I graduated in 85, but I think it was either late 86 or 87 when I started learning Wing Tsun. I didn't write the date down, but
Yeah.
it was right around that period of time.
Okay.
Either late 86 or 87, I believe.
So you came right out of undergrad and found this.
I did. I was always interested in martial arts, but never had the opportunity, to pursue it, especially during college. And when I finished undergraduate school, I thought, okay, there's a chance to do it. And I kind of fell into Wing Tsun. I wish I could tell you that I really did my homework and studied the difference between this system and that system, but I didn't. I completely lucked into Wing Tsun for whatever reason. I think it's probably because my first instructor was geographically close to me, but it was a short period of time, and I really was attracted to it. The intelligence of the system is always what's drawn me to it, and it's kind of kept me captivated, and it's the reason I'm still learning, practicing.
I mean, Wing Tsun has changed a lot over the years. Well, not Wing Tsun itself, but the landscape. So what are some differences you see now to like when you started originally?
Okay, the only thing that's really changed the landscape has been the people involved in my lives. Instructors. I'm grateful to everyone that has taught me something. Absolutely. Wish everybody well. The system itself, the concepts haven't changed at all. Grandmaster Leung Ting is constantly, I think, developing, not in a manner of creating something new, but maybe finding a better way to get the concepts across. Sometimes people almost have a panic attack when they're used to doing something a certain way, and then it changes a little bit. And I know I went through that period of that, and now it doesn't faze me at all. I think what he's doing is, it's a laboratory for him, and he's always figuring out, what's a better way, to sharpen or a better way to get the concept across. The usage. Sometimes he'll say, "No, I don't do that anymore. That's too complicated." Something like that, And
Yeah, that's what I really like about the system, that it is
constantly refining it, I think, and getting really to the essence of what is necessary, and continually cutting away fluff.
Yeah.
And I don't think there was much fluff to begin with. I mean, all the essential stuff was there, but I think when you start teaching, you find out, man, it's really kind of in part, the way this is presented, somebody's having some difficulty in its way. And I think that, you may switch something around just a little bit so that you understand. And I think a lot of people have the wrong idea. Oh, he's changing it. Actually, he's just trying to present it in a way that you understand it. From what I understand about, Great Grandmaster Leung Ting was the same way. The teaching was very individual, based on the student's ability to, comprehend,
Yeah.
If they weren't able to, comprehend, then why would he, go deeper and deeper and deeper? Wing Tsun is like an onion with just so many different levels. And for me, there doesn't seem to be a finish line. It's just a constant refining and then playing with it. And, that's kind of where I am,
Okay. Great.
how I think about things.
Great. So, what do you think is the hardest part about learning Wing Tsun?
Learning or teaching?
Teaching. Sorry. What do you think
They
is the hardest
both
part about
involve,
teaching Wing Tsun?
Yeah. The human ego is a big problem. Okay, whether you're teaching or you're learning. Pride. Most of our clientele are adult men, and I find out that adult men are really kind of, little boys, if we're honest with ourselves, little boys with huge egos and fully developed senses of rationalization. And that's the handicap. I mean, your ego and your pride is just going to lie to you every time. So you really have to kind of be open to learning, and you got to check your ego at the door. And it's not easy as human beings. We're
Yeah.
We're going to fall into that trap. I myself have done it a lot of times. But to me, that's the difficulty. You know, if you're teaching children, which I don't, that's going to be much easier.
Yeah.
You know, because children just fall in line. They do what you ask them to do, you know, and you don't have that ego or the pride or necessarily this, sometimes it's a fierce competitiveness.
Yeah.
You know, which kind of gets in the way of your ability to learn, you know. So it's the old adage, you're your worst enemy. It is true. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had my own battles with that too. And coming up to learning, it's difficult as a guy because you want to be aggressive and first we have to like turn it off. And that's really difficult.
You know, yes, that's true. And teaching as well. You know, you kind of, I mean, I've been doing it for a period of time. You know, there's not a mistake I haven't made. But anybody that's been doing it this long will tell you the same thing. Either you were too rough on this person, or you were too friendly, you know, or something. And everybody's kind of a little bit different. You know, it's very easy if you just line everybody up and they're all doing the same thing. But, you know, oftentimes, you know, you walk in and it's who's on the floor will dictate how you're going to teach the class. Yeah. You know, and a lot of times you're partnering people up according to skill level, and it's taught, to my way of thinking, a lot of times in smaller didactic units based on what that individual needs. There's times when, you know, the subject includes everybody. You know, you're talking about discussing, you know, how to defend against a spinning back kick or something like that. It's, you know, you can teach broadly to everybody, but oftentimes people come into the school and they specifically want to work on their specific program. So a majority of the time is kind of spent, you know, catering to the individual needs. At least that's what we're doing, you know. So.
Okay. All right. So this is a question from Sifu Devin out of California. So shout out to him. What do you think is the difference between a master level and a technician level? Because there's definitely some really good quality that you have that's just, it seems like it's very hard to get. It's like hard to quantify. So what do you feel is the difference between master level and a technician level?
You know, Sifu Leung Ting has already explained this in his book. I think it was ingenious on the way he described it. He called technicians technician. You know, between primary and fourth, you're literally going through the system and you're acquiring techniques. You're figuring out, why does it work? When do I use it? And I mean, you're going to spend a whole lot of time doing that. It's just not a matter of running through sections. You know, some people have this idea, you know, they're collecting boxes, you know. I want section that, you know, I want section 16, whatever it is. And it's the contents in the box. Eventually you throw the box away. And it's the content in the box. What's the important thing? A practitioner has gone through it, understands the purpose of the technique, the concepts behind the technique. Now you just basically practice. You know, staying within a section is difficult. Your partner has to do everything exactly correct to give you the right stimulation, to create the environment for that particular thing. But it's important. It's a starting point. The sections are the beginning. I mean, absolutely the raw, absolute beginning to point the direction on why am I doing this? What is the function of this jump cell at this point? You know, why am I using a pie jar here? You know, various kicks in the dummy form. Which one at what point? So you're studying all that, and you're learning which one is at the appropriate time. And very often, it's almost impossible to do a section with somebody unless they just do it perfectly. Yeah. There's always going to be some human error, and to stay within the section is actually counterproductive.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm just doing what feels good to William Parker, I'm just going to react. You know, if you force the thing on me, then I'll probably do exactly what that section calls for, because that's going to be the perfect technique at that time. You know, it kind of runs into this issue of you know, everyone goes, you know, advanced technique. You know, and I'm going like, what is an advanced technique? You tell me. What is the definition of advanced technique? It's the technique that you need at that very moment. That's the advanced technique. Every technique in Wing Chun, you can say, from Sin and Tao up is an advanced technique. oftentimes it's just something simple.
Yeah.
The simplest technique is the best technique. Even though it's human nature to be attracted to, some of the more glamorous techniques, the fascination with the wooden dummy.
Yeah, a lot of time.
The beauty and all that. But, a really good practitioner, technician, whatever, the basics are good. Sometimes that solves 90% of your issue. And you don't need to fall back on that other stuff. You certainly don't choose it because it's something you want to do. It's because, man, this is the only thing that's going to pull my fat out of the fire in this particular situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. I think a lot of people, when they want advanced techniques in Wing Chun and they're thinking about very fancy things. I had some students the other day, very beginning level students, they said, when are we going to start learning Chi Sao? And I said, I'm already teaching you. This is the beginning. But you haven't done the rolling yet. It's just the foundation of it. And so they have a tendency to think of what's the more complex or fancier looking thing than the actual concept behind it.
Yeah, it's human nature to always think that the next thing is going to make you invincible. You know? And I mean, every one of us, if we're honest with each other, have gone through that. Mm-hmm. It's I have yet to meet anybody that doesn't. But as you mature and if you've been experienced to, all the forms that are offered, you understand the techniques that are within there, you realize, you know what, I just want what works. That's all I care about at that time. As a teacher, you have to go through, you have to go through each particular sequence or form so that they understand the starting point. Why am I doing this? And after a while, this is why you need gore sound. You just need to free it up. And you need to eventually find out. Now, there's people that have a lot more tools in their chest, and you can fall back on some of that stuff. But the answer for whatever the situation is the simplest, least labor-intensive technique at that time. That's what I want. Yeah. I'm not aiming to use, some advanced technique if it's not called for that.
Yeah.
And the people that I really admire, the people that, I have worked with, that was always the way they did it anyways,
Yeah, great. Excellent. All right. So moving on to our second stage of questions here. So let me ask you about how you feel about Wing Chun on the internet nowadays. There's a lot of people on Facebook, Instagram, doing a lot of things on the internet, but they're able to say anything they want online, without repercussions, essentially. So, how do you feel about our system now in the age of the internet?
Yeah, first of all, I'm unaware of most of what goes on in the internet. Mm-hmm. You can call me a happy dinosaur. I could really care less that I hear about some of the stuff that goes on. And to me, it's a dark hole. It serves a purpose. I mean, there's for advertising. You want to get your word out. You want to promote your specific, school, whatever. But it's a breeding ground for just rampant, in some cases, self-indulgent narcissism. And I think it brings out the worst in a lot of people. It's kind of the Matrix or some dark hole where you can kind of create your own universe, and it's based on what you want it to be. So, we're living in really strange times. Here in America, to me, seems like a very, very strange place where you can decide to be, whatever you want to be. And that sounds kind of liberating and exciting at a time, but I don't go down that rabbit hole. Mm-hmm. I think there's productive, mature ways to use it. And then I think there's extremely self-indulgent, almost sociopathic little detours that I think some people can take. But I'm not part of it. So I really don't know about it. Like I said, I hear things and it just, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
So what? So what?
Yeah, exactly. And I find a lot of those people, it's like, okay, come on in and touch hands with us. I mean, I don't respond to them anymore, but it's like, come into our school and see what we can do. But they never will because they're never number one, anywhere near us, and number two, they're typically pretty much cowards, like online, that won't actually come in and do things.
Some people are.
Yeah.
I mean, some people are just kind of trolls. But I mean, that's everywhere. I mean, I'm not on Twitter, you know? I look at Facebook,
Twitter's
you know?
the land of the trolls.
I mean, I'm on Facebook, but I don't post a lot, you know? Mm-hmm. But I mean, you know, you want a good crap in the morning, a good cup of coffee, and look at Facebook. And, you know, some people are on there every day, and, you know, that's okay. I'm really not, you know, I'm kind of making a joke out of it, but I'm saying, depending on who's doing what, it's either productive and positive, or it's just a negative, you know. And I think they're just, I'm just not in that arena.
Yeah. So I have some questions about. I saw a picture of you one time. Did you receive your 6th level in Hong Kong with Grandmaster Leung Ting, or was
that was the 5th.
That was the 5th level.
The 5th level. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So how often were you going to train with Sijo and to make progress over these years?
Well, for a while, until things started to get a little bit, my opinion only, a little bit hairy in Hong Kong, you know, pretty frequently. And I'd go up there, get training, stay for about a week, always invite Grandmaster Leung Ting here, you know, the States, get my own training. And of course, you know, when he's giving a seminar, you know, I'm just like a bee, you know, kind of floating around. I'm always getting something, you know what I mean? It's just amazing, you know. You think you want to be on this side of the room doing that, and it's like actually something really valuable is happening on this side, you know. So there's always some nuggets there. And when you think about it, if you get it's kind of like this. I make the analogy of music. I play guitar, and I just love it. Spend a lot of time with that. If I had a second do-over, I'd probably gone straight into music school. You know, again, I love Wing Chun, but I did not come out of my mother's womb saying I want to be a Wing Chun instructor. I didn't go to graduate school to be a Wing Chun instructor. Kind of happened to me, you know, our instructor left the organization. Grandmaster Leung Ting adopted me, I think in the 90s. You know, I've got it there, and said, no, you have to teach. If you want to stay involved in Wing Chun, you need partners, which you do. So that was kind of it. But back to my point, with the music thing and stuff like that, how much can you process? Yeah. If you spent a week with somebody learning, it'd probably take you maybe a year with constant practice. I mean, I'm just throwing numbers out there, but you've got to process that. Is there any benefit to staying longer? You know, how much can you put in your mouth? You got to chew, right? Some people just want to swallow it whole. Yeah. So I have more than enough information. Every time he's here, it's like, wow, man, you know, you got to work on this, or this is something you missed. You got that right, but here's something where you're really weak. And those are the light bulbs that go off, and it's like, you know what? Now I need to practice so that by the time I see him again next year, and I've had the benefit of, you know, other people, Sifu Robin, Sifu Angus, these are great instructors, you know, so they come from a totally different perspective on how I got most of my Wing Chun. And it's interesting. We go to Hong Kong, and they're like, well, we've never seen that before. Where did you learn that? From Grandmaster Leung Ting, you know? So it's like you catch him at the right moment, at the right time, and, you know, whatever he's thinking. And a lot of people, again, I go back to this thing, you know, it's perpetrated by, I think, some kind of ignorant people. He's changing everything. No. Actually, what happened was he was at a seminar, and somebody was teaching something, and they did something different. So the solution had to be different. So he showed you a different solution. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, based on what's happening.
Totally. I mean, we were doing one time the second section wooden dummy, you know, all this stuff. And towards the end, before you get to the kick, another instructor had seen him do a poi pai movement against that. But he didn't understand why. And for me, it was always the kick. And he didn't change anything at all. The reason that he used the poi pais was because the guy didn't thrust his punch. There was no reason to go back. You know, it just went to stop. The punch stopped. There was no stimulus to step back to utilize the kick. So Sifu did the smart thing. He just stayed in close and whacked him away with the poi pais. Did he change the section? No, he didn't. But he just used the technique that was appropriate for that moment. So that's where a lot of this confusion comes,
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you didn't change it. It's just the partner this person was working with didn't create the environment which required, the regimented,
exactly.
thing. And after a while, it's not regimented at all. It's what works, what's best for you.
Yeah.
We're not creating clones.
Exactly.
Something like that, I think.
All right. So only a couple questions left. On the IWTA topic, like you mentioned, obviously you've been training under Sijo for such a long time, and you've been through a lot of organizational splits and whatnot. So why do you stay in the IWTA?
Yeah, I wasn't going to leave the university to follow one professor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Grandmaster Leung Ting adopted me, and I think it was 1990. I mean, I have the picture on my wall. There was a room full of people in there. It was during a Chisao tournament. And I was kind of riding the fence between my first instructor. Still grateful to him. But, he wanted to go a different way, and that was fine.
Yeah.
And I had to sit here and decide what I'm going to do. And I finally met some of the other people, and I realized that the organization was this huge thing. I wasn't even aware of Eastern, Western Europe, any of that stuff. I was just, kind of in the San Antonio thing. And then I went to this tournament in 90, met some of the other fellers that were there, people, and I saw, wow, this is a huge network. And I realized, I have access not just to whoever's teaching me local, but to a network of people. I can get on a plane and I can ask, hey, don't mind if I take your class? Can I learn? And that was the benefit of being in the organization. Besides, learning directly from Grandmaster Leung Ting, Sifu Leung Ting. At that time, I was so naive and young, and I had no idea. He said, I am your Sifu now. And I had no idea really, what that meant. It was kind of like, okay, you're in Hong Kong and I'm here. But it was only shortly after that they'd actually called and said, hey, I'm in Dallas. Come to Dallas. I said, okay.
Yeah.
So, that was kind of my way to it.
Okay. Very
Does that
cool.
answer the question?
Yeah.
Yeah, I still feel that staying under the umbrella, at least for me, was the right thing, so.
Yeah, we're grateful to be here, and we're grateful to have you here as a great resource for us. And
thank you.
Of course, that's why we invited you out here, and looking forward to an awesome weekend this weekend. Yeah. So last question, and then we'll wrap up here. What advice would you give to a brand new student just coming in, just starting on their journey?
Understand what the Sinim Tao means. The philosophy of that. It's a little idea. Especially in America, we have this culture of immediate gratification. And we're so distracted by so many other things. There's so many distractions, take a left or right turn. So a lot of people are drawn to Wing Chun for different reasons. How do they find Wing Chun? Maybe it was watching a Yip Man movie. Maybe it was Bruce Lee. I mean, for me, I couldn't say any of that. I didn't know that Bruce Lee studied Wing Chun. I just needed to get off the college ways, and get some discipline back in my life. It was only once I got involved that I go, man, this stuff is really interesting. I was always a pretty good athlete, and, I wrestled, and I had friends that did karate and stuff like this. And, I was never really concerned about getting my ass kicked. All those happen. But in the Wing Chun world,
Yeah.
I would say the Sinim Tao idea, the little idea is be patient. Don't be in a hurry,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to take the little steps and you got to go in there. And it is a process. That's the hard part. I think the hardest part of teaching Wing Chun is to the new student and keeping them captivated, because they've got to learn the stance. They've got to do stance training, stepping, bag work, chasing, a lot of things. And they want to clickety-clack on the dummy, and they want to do all this stuff that they see in the movies or they see in the upper level. And it's like, you'll get there, but just take the step in front of you. So my advice to the new student is be patient with yourself and be patient with your instructor, because your instructors out there, you all know, you invest a lot of time on the new student. You really do.
Yeah.
You spend more time on the new students than probably anybody else. So.
All right. Great.
Patience.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. If there's anything else you want to add, feel free to add right now. But
Can't think of the thing.
Okay, great. Well, again, happy to have you here, Sifu Will. If you guys have liked what you heard today, please like, subscribe, and follow us. Of course, Sifu Will has his academy in San Antonio, Texas, and it's the San Antonio Wing Tsun Academy. So if any of you are in the San Antonio area, he's got a great school there, and he is the highest level teacher in the U.S. and gives phenomenal training. He's right there in San Antonio. So again, if you guys like our podcast, please like, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, give us that thumbs up. If you are on Spotify, just click that follow button, and we'll see you guys next time.